Welcome to this Killik Explains finance video. In this video, 3 ways we can help our children and give them a financial head start. Now the good news is children being born today are expected to live on average, if they're girls, to around 100, and on top of that, rarely has there been so much choice in terms of education, careers, and the ability to see and enjoy the world via technology, cheap airfares and so on. But there are some headwinds, and the main ones are these. Education costs keep going up. Retirement keeps getting harder and harder to fund. House price affordability has really been worse. And the cost of borrowing can only probably go in one direction from here, and that's likely to be upward. So those are some quite severe headwinds that offset some of the good news earlier. Now what can we do to help them? Well, I'm going to suggest just 3 here and give you a snapshot of each one, 3 things. First of all, the junior ISA. Secondly, the junior pension or SIP. And thirdly, once you've exhausted those 2, you could look at something like a bare trust. So, in order, junior ISAs. Now anybody, that includes parents and grandparents, can contribute up to the annual limit of £4,080 per child. So that's quite handy. The ISA is managed by the child from the age of 16 and they take it over from the age of 18. So you've got to be prepared to let go of the funds at some point. But in the meantime, you can have them invested and growing on behalf of that child. They can be set up in addition to a standard ISA, so you can have your own ISA and run a JISA alongside it, that's not a problem. And there is complete flexibility about what goes into this tax shelter on behalf of the child. Could be cash, could be investments, could be a mix. Now how useful could that be? Well, let's assume you were using up the annual allowance, £340, that's monthly, and you were investing for 18 years. Where could you be? Now these rates are not guaranteed, but at a fairly conservative 2% growth rate, basically the green bar is the amount you've paid in, the pink is the growth on top, if you like. You could have a fund of around £88,000, that's pretty handy for a child turning, let's say, 18 years old. At 5%, the amount is more like 118,000, and at 8%, more like 159. Now those amounts are not guaranteed, that's applying the regulator's 3 suggested growth rates if you like, but you can see the potential power of this product. And in fairness, those are stated before charges. Okay, idea number 2 is a junior pension. Now this is the idea that you give them a head start when it comes to saving for their own retirement. So how would you do that? Well, anyone again can contribute, this time up to the 3,600 annual limit. So this is a separate product. The government pays 20% tax relief at source, so that means effectively you're only paying in 2,880. Investments within the wrapper are tax-free, and there's a huge choice of investments that can go within a junior SIP. And finally, a child can access this one from age 55 at the moment, but that is currently rising to 57 from 2028. So the money's locked away for a lot longer. Well, that means the compounding effect is that bit more powerful. Now let's take a look at that, the power of a junior SIP. Imagine you were putting £250 per month in, where would you be after 18 years at those 3 assumed growth rates? Well, if we take the middle one, not guaranteed, shares can go down as well as up, if we take the middle one, you could be looking at £104,000 after 18 years. Now the point is, I said they can't access it yet, so let's assume that's where you managed to get to after 18 years, and now we roll that on. So we say, imagine you had that sum now and left it invested for another 40 years, bearing in mind that children may not be retiring until at least 58, 59, 60 or older. Where would you be? Well, 104,000 at 5% could become more like 732,000. Now, I haven't factored in inflation, haven't factored in charges, but you get the idea. Okay, the third product is a trust. Now this is useful, for example, just to give you one example, for grandparents wanting to help a nominated grandchild, perhaps with the rising cost of university education. The amount paid in can fall outside the estate of the donor for AHT purposes in the right circumstances. That's pretty handy, and probably more important, any income or capital gains are taxed, not at your rate, but at the child's, assuming that you use up their allowances first. So that's pretty neat. And the child's entitled to any funds from the age of 18. So ultimately you've got to be prepared to let go potentially. Funds can only be withdrawn earlier for certain specified purposes. So maybe you used up the junior SIP allowance, maybe you used up the junior ISA allowance. This could be another way, potentially, to give children a head start. Lots of ground covered there. Any questions, editor@killik.com. And to see other videos related to this one, please go to our library at killikexplains.com.